How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be completing my second ever hardcore Nuzlocke in Pokemon X and Y using only Fire-type Pokemon. Now, I gotta preface this. Unlike the Black 2, White 2 Water-type only challenge, I did manage to lose this one. Shockingly enough, twice to Grant and once to Seabold. But I'm not going to waste your time or make you sit through some failed attempts. I want to show you the successful attempt and the strategies that worked, the ones that were ballsy, and the ones that lost me some Pokemon. But before we get into it, I'd like to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel. We're starting to close in on 100,000 subscribers, and I really would love to hit that by the end of the year. Also, I'd highly suggest going to follow me on Twitter, link in the description. I've been making daily update posts about my Pokemon Soul Silver Pokewalker Professor Oak's challenge that I think you guys might find interesting, but I'll be posting the first video of that series on Tuesday, so that those who don't have a Twitter account don't have to worry about missing anything. Lastly, but certainly most importantly, this and every video I make are available at least one day early for patrons. If you head over to my Patreon page and pledge $5 a month, you can get access to all of my videos at least a day early, an exclusive Discord server role, and a few other neat things as well, link in the description. I'm actually nearly halfway to hitting my goal so that I do a shiny-only Professor Oak's challenge in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, so make sure to head over there if you want to see me do one of the hardest challenges in a Pokemon game. Anyway, let's get into it. So, I name myself Cha, and of course, when I go to pick my player nickname and starter, I decide to make the group of them call me Max C, due to the first letter of Cha being C, and haha Yu-Gi-Oh joke. Moving on. The only starter that I can choose here is Fennekin, eventually evolving into a Fire Psychic type, and that should give me quite good coverage throughout the game, so I'm excited to have this as a part of the team. I also decided to go with the nickname theme of, can I beat this Pokemon in a fight? And usually it's no, because it's a bunch of fire types that are going to burn me alive. I just thought it'd be funny. Anyway, my first rival battle goes extremely well against Shauna, as she has Chespin and a few Embers are able to put her down. Heading back home, I tell my mother I'm going out for a bit, and head out to Route 2. There's actually an encounter I can get here, and that's Fletchling. This will evolve into the super powerful Fire-flying Talonflame, and since this is Gen 6, it's not nerfed just yet, so hopefully I'll be able to show the power of this glass cannon throughout the run. I nicknamed it Slashed because likelihood is I'd get slashed to death before the fire kicked in. Fun times. Santaloon Forest also has an encounter for me to grab, that being Pansear. And this took a few minutes, but I caught it and nicknamed it Absolutely because this Pokemon sucks, and even through fire, I'd want to beat the piss out of it. The battles in the forest are also pretty easy, since the majority of them have Pokemon that are either weak to or neutral to Fire-type moves, so getting out onto Route 3 is a breeze. There's nothing for me here, but after entering Santaloon City, I'm able to head east into Route 22 in order to get a new encounter. Sadly, I have to get through a trainer first, and I don't think I'm exactly ready to do that just yet, since only Fennekin is currently leveled up to take them on. So I used the gym trainers to switch train Fletchling and Pansear. Sadly though, on the last trainer, I accidentally leveled Fennekin over the level cap, meaning I won't be allowed to use it until I beat Viola. Fortunately, this isn't much of a problem after grinding both Pansear and Fletchling on Route 3 for a bit. I made sure not to do too much as to not be able to switch train my Route 22 encounter, but after beating that trainer, I decided screw it, I probably don't need any more than 2 Pokemon for this fight. Will I get punished? Let's find out. Viola is a wee bit annoying at first, seeing as she leads with Surskit, a water-type Pokemon, but that's quickly taken out of commission by Fletchling, who doesn't yet have the weakness to water thanks to being normal flying for the first stage, but it does have Peck, taking it out in 2 shots. Next out is Vivillon, and despite being fully evolved and able to set up Harden and Infestation, I was able to hit it with 3 Pecks, leading to a potion before the 4th and 5th. Luckily, this put Vivillon at low enough HP to where Quick Attack would KO, so I went for it, KOing with only 3 HP remaining and getting my first badge. Guess I only needed 1 Pokemon, but as much as I say that X and Y are extremely easy games, Nuzlockes are actually pretty difficult in this one. So now that I've taken out Viola, I now have access to Fennekin once again, but I also have that Pokemon over on Route 22 to get, that being Litleo. 4 Fire-type Pokemon so early on in the game is quite handy, but there's only about 10 throughout the entire game, so I'll have to be extremely careful as to not lose too many Pokemon. With that, I'm able to take out the optional trainers on Route 22 before heading towards Route 4, grabbing the EXP Share in the process. Now this is a nice item for training, but this adds a step of having to remember to turn it off before things start accidentally going over the level cap. Fortunately, I didn't forget about it at all during this run, since I had a large note on my screen saying not to forget about it. Otherwise, I probably would've, because I'm a dingus. That problem doesn't really exist in this section though, as the next level cap is 25, thanks to the extremely large gap between gyms 1 and 2, but that gap gets rapidly shortened between the rest of the gyms. The trainers on Route 4 didn't put up too much of a fight, giving me a few levels, a few moves, and an evolution into Fletchinder before heading into Lumiose City. Now this place is certainly interesting, as Professor Sycamore gives me a choice of Kanto starter after beating him. Of course, my only choice is Charmander, and this is particularly why I decided to play Pokemon Y version for this challenge. I believe that this challenge would have been far too easy if I chose X, because Mega Charizard X gains the partial Dragon typing, making it neutral to Water and Ice type attacks, and giving me a super easy out to Seabold in the Pokemon League. However, I didn't want to ban Mega Evolution in its entirety, so I decided on a middle ground. Play Y version in order to get Mega Charizard Y, who is still Fire Flying, but also has Drought, meaning I can do some cool Sun shenanigans with my all-Fire type team. Charmander is also the last encounter I'm going to be getting for a few badges, so I'm going to need to keep my eyes sharp for trainers that can be avoided if they have too tough a Pokemon. Moving on to Route 5, none of the trainers really gave me any hassle. However, I did decide to evolve Pansear into Simisear with a Firestone that I had gotten from the Stone Emporium in Lumiose City, which will make life a little bit easier since now I have a fully evolved Pokemon. Now that I'm in Camp for Your Town, the Pokeflute quest really isn't that difficult. None of the trainers gave me much of a hassle, and I made sure to diversify my leveling as much as possible as to keep on track and not let anything get too close to the level cap. See, the next gym leader is Grant, and he's got rock types, those being the 2 Kalos fossil Pokemon in Amora and Tyrant. These 2 are extremely powerful, and I need to make sure that my Pokemon can stand up to them, and that I have nothing that is inhibited from battling thanks to the level cap and accidentally going over, since I'm basically guaranteed to lose something here like I did in my previous 3 attempts. While completing the quest though, Charmander evolved into Charmeleon, which should help a decent bit in terms of power. The Parfum Palace also houses the Amulet Coin, which should give me plenty of money for healing items, repels, and collecting TMs throughout the entire playthrough, as there's a few that will definitely help me out in the long run. After getting the Pokeflute and battling Snorlax, I'm able to make my way into Western Route 7, taking out a decent number of trainers before having a multi-battle against Trevor and Tierno. Tierno has a Corphish, which is a little threatening, but Serena is able to help me double target it, KOing it before it could even become a problem, cleaning up the battle from there. Now for the connecting cave, and there's something that's super nice in here, that being the TM for Aerial Ace. Downside? I can't get it until I have access to strength outside of battle, so I'll have to wait for a bit. Oh well. After emerging on Upper Route 8, I am able to take out the trainers without too much of a fight, eventually getting into Ambret Town. Sadly, I have to do the side quest towards Route 9 and into Glittering Cave to go further, so I take out Team Flare for the first time, getting my choice of Fossil. While the choice doesn't matter since neither of these are a fire type, there is an in-game trade I'm thinking that does indeed evolve into a fire type, so I revived Tyrant for it and put it into the box in case that time comes. I tried seeing if that time was now by going into the Ambret Hotel, but the person who randomly comes in is not here today, so I'll have to wait. Actually, I guess I may as well spoil it for you, since we have a little bit of a lull in the run. I was planning on using Tyrant for an in-game trade for an Eevee so that I could evolve it into Flareon. The reason being is that I can get an additional counter on Route 10, since normally it has both Eevee and Houndour, but by eliminating the potential of Eevee through Dupe's Claws, I could theoretically just capture Houndour and have those 10 encounters instead of 9 that I would get if I only found Eevee. Sadly, this doesn't end up working out here. Oh well, but at least I'm now in Solage City, gaining access to the bicycle, the HM for strength, just not outside of battle yet, and the second gym. But I'm gonna be ignoring all of those for now, since it's Route 10 time. I defeated all of the trainers up through Geosenge Town before going for the second gym. Basically, I wanted to try to see if there was a way to get to Grant without encountering a single trainer. There is a way, but of course I'm an idiot who ran into a hiker with a single Roggenrola that almost destroyed half my team, if it weren't for Simisear's handy yawn, which has been very repeatedly useful of getting me out of rough situations throughout this run. After that near-fatal mistake, I healed up and decided to go get my Route 10 encounter, and I was hoping that I would just get Houndour first and be able to avoid getting Eevee, as it's a very rare encounter compared to Houndour's average status in Yellow Flowers. But of course, me being lucky in Pokemon games exclusively backfires here, giving me Eevee. Well, I guess Houndour wouldn't have been that useful, but Dark-type moves definitely would have come up against a gym leader like Olympia. Either way, I went ahead and edged up my Pokemon extremely close to level 26, so as to not go over the level cap, and went into the gym battle. I was pretty stressed out since I didn't want to lose yet another attempt to Grant, but man, did this battle make me come close. Grant leads with Amora, so I go for Simisear, immediately using Yawn and taking a Rock Tomb for over half. Fortunately, I had grabbed a Citrus Berry earlier in the run, which I gave to Simisear for this exact reason, letting me hit an Incinerate before taking a Thunder Wave, making Amora go to sleep, and giving me a clean swap over to Charmeleon. I hit it with a combo of Ember and Dragon Rage, taking it out without any losses and leading into Tyrant. This one's even more of a threat, so I went for Smokescreen twice before getting nailed with a Rock Tomb, nearly KOing Charmeleon, but I made sure a Berry Juice was my held item here just in case that it could take another attack. It can't, so I swapped into Breaks in here, getting a miss on Rock Tomb before going for Psybeam, getting the confusion off on the first hit as he misses again with Rock Tomb, so I go for a second, and since Tyrant's in the red, it accidentally KOs itself with confusion damage, winning me the fight. You do not realize how tense I was during that entire battle, and let me tell you, that confusion luck was definitely a nice save, as 2 Smokescreens was likely not going to be enough to save my whole team otherwise. But I've got the second badge, that's all that matters now. Route 10 is filled with Team Flare Grunts, hence why I cleared out every trainer before this would happen, letting me move onto Geosenge Town and encounter Karina. She has 2 Lucarios, which aren't too hard to deal with thanks to having an entourage of fire types, but man, I really do wish she would just give me the gym badge here since this battle is a whole lot easier than her gym battle. Route 11 doesn't have anything annoying, but Reflection Cave sure does. There's a relatively strong few Pokemon in here, such as a Battle Girl with a Throw-in Hawlucha, and an Ace Trainer with an Absol and Pinsir. But fortunately, with a previous failed attempt under my belt that I got to this point, I managed to remember how to sneak around in here, getting to Shallower City without too much difficulty. I figured I should train my Pokemon to level 31, seeing as all of the trainers inside of the Shallower Gym are required, as well as a rival battle in the Tower of Mastery. So I decided to do so east on Route 12, depositing Pokemon as they hit level 31 so that the EXP Share would continue working and that I wouldn't have to waste extra time. This strategy went perfectly, getting them all to level 31 before getting into the Tower of Mastery for a rival battle. Serena leads with a Meowstic, so I go for Braixen to get a resistance on her, but now in hindsight I forgot that only Delphox is part Psychic. Oh well. She goes for Fake Out, flinching me with very light damage as she sets up Light Screen next turn, meaning Ember is doing next to nothing here. But next turn I get a critical as Psybeam does about a third of Braixen's HP, so I go for Light Screen next turn as she uses Disarming Voice for a grand total of 5 damage. This gives me a good opening to also go for Lucky Chant to prevent criticals, and Disarming Voice does 2 damage this turn. This gives me a really good turn to swap over into Simisear, as that turn Light Screen also goes out, meaning that Incinerate can clean up, but I missed the range as she gets off another Light Disarming Voice. Unfortunately, that does reduce the clock on my Light Screen as Frogadier comes out, but I'm able to use Yawn right away as it goes for Quick Attack, barely doing any damage, so I just follow up with a return afterwards, taking a Water Pulse for about half damage before it went to sleep, giving me the perfect time to hit it with a second return, taking it out and leading to Absol. I went for Yawn on it as well, taking a massive bite that takes Simisear down to 18 HP, so I think swapping to Flareon for bulk is the smartest thing to do here, but of course he gets a critical and does a ton of damage, but not enough to KO, so Flareon's able to get in a massive return for a near KO, and since I've got Quick Attack, that's all Flareon needs to close this battle, winning without any losses. Pretty nice that I've gotten this far without any losses, as none of the previous 3 attempts have managed to get this far without at least one. With Serena taken down though, Karina returns to her gym and it's time to take her down as well. I just realized though, I can go ahead and use Strength outside of battle now, meaning I can go get Aerial Ace, a perfect out to Karina's Pokemon. So I teach it to Charmeleon as to not just rely on Fletchinder and Braixen, which lets me clear out all 4 trainers, edging my Pokemon to right before level 33 before taking her on. She leads with a Mienfoo, immediately going for the Fake Out for 12 damage before I could go for Yawn, getting off a Power-Up Punch in the process. I decided to swap for Fletchinder to resist the second one, making Mienfoo fall asleep to Yawn as I started setting up Swords Dance. I managed to get 2 off before going for Aerial Ace, one-shotting and leading to Machoke. This also goes down in 1 Aerial Ace, leaving just Hawlucha, who I'm able to complete the hat trick with, one-shotting after she outspeeds and uses Hone Claws, wasting her only available turn. Good stuff. I can always appreciate a good, fast, clean sweep. Now it's time for the Mega Evolution Ceremony, which, hilariously enough, Karina crits my own Lucario that I'm forced into using during this battle, meaning I just instantly lose. Well, I guess this Pokemon's dead before I even own it. Before leaving though, I grabbed the TM for Low Sweep, depositing Lucario and moving on my merry way towards Coumarine City. There's a Gift Lapras on Route 12, which I made sure to grab so that I could exclusively use it for surfing, avoiding every trainer I could since Coumarine's gym leader is a Grass-type leader, and I definitely don't need extra levels for him, but I might need some for the rival battle that's right before his gym. I also made sure to grab some incenses while I was here so that I could have some generically good held items, as well as a Cherry Berry on the stand next to it. That might be helpful if Stun Spore comes into play, but we'll see. After taking the tram to the other side of the city, I'm also able to get the Metronome, a held item that increases the power of moves on repeated uses, sort of like how Fury Cutter works. So this will definitely be useful in fights where I just have to click the same move over and over again, but now it's time for the rival battle. Serena once again leads with Meowstic, so I go for Braixen again, going for Light Screen as she goes for Fake Out. So we set up each Light Screen on the same turn as she goes for Psybeam next turn, but I go for Lucky Chant since I'm going to be setting up. I went for Simisear and nailed it with a Thief and Yawn before swapping back for Braixen to set up both Light Screen and Lucky Chant again, swapping for Flareon so that I'd be able to KO with Bite, but I do take a Light Psybeam for my troubles, but hey, that's alright. Lots of swapping here, but now it's time for Frogadier. It leads off with Water Pulse on my last turn of Light Screen, and of course it confuses, screwing me over royally since it did around half of the screen reduced damage. So I swap for Simisear, taking a Quick Attack, which means I have plenty enough HP to use Return. And for some reason though, he just goes for another Quick Attack, letting me hit a second to take it out and lead to Absol. Well, that was a bit weird, but much appreciated since this Absol would be hard enough to take down. Hard enough, in fact, that after using Yawn, it uses Bite and gets a crit, leaving Simisear with 6 HP. That was extremely close, but I'm able to swap for Charmeleon, taking a Quick Attack and firing off a Flame Burst after it falls asleep, taking it out with a second and winning the battle. Alright, almost 4 badges in and no deaths. We are rolling swimmingly. With that though, I took out the gym trainers and went into the fight with Ramos, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat this was the easiest battle in the run so far. I led off with Fletchinder and went for a single Swords Dance. Took a massive acrobatics, but it didn't matter, as Fletchinder managed to use Fly on all 3 of his Pokemon, taking out Jumpluff, Go-Go, and Weepinbell, winning me the battle and evolving Fletchinder into Talonflame. Now we've got some real firepower. Pun entirely intended. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that I had Simisear deposited during that entire gym since it accidentally went over the level cap. Not that it really mattered since I still easily swept through the entirety of it, but we don't have much wiggle room between now and Clemont, as the level cap only increases from 34 to 37. To be fair, the only area between now and the Lumio City Gym Leader is the Badlands down in Route 13, which actually houses our first new encounter in quite a while, that being Slugma for Rock Smash. This took quite a bit of time to find, but hey, at least I got it instead of flubbing it like I did in my last attempt. So oddly enough, the Kalos power plant is a little bit threatening because of Team Flare, mostly because of the admin in the back. Aliana has a Mightyena that is level 38, whereas the level cap for this part of the game is 37, but she only has one Pokemon. Didn't expect an admin to have a higher level than the next gym leader. I guess that's cool, but I managed to evolve Charmeleon into Charizard, as well as Braixen into Delphox and Litleo into Pyroar before that fight, using Mega Charizard to take it down without the worry of being underleveled. Of course, that means I have another Pokemon weak to the next gym leader, but I should be decently okay. I mean, seriously, look at the movesets of these Pokemon. 5 badges in and they still don't have complete movesets. I'm having war flashbacks over Emolga, but aside from that, this team doesn't look like it'll give me that much trouble. Well, aside from this Magneton having post-Gen 5 sturdy. Making my way into the gym, I fought the minimum amount of trainers required since electric types are a bit irritating thanks to both Talonflame and Charizard being weak to them. But I managed to get through them relatively easily, putting my confidence up and urge to move on with the game at a high point, since I didn't even edge my team up to just before level 38, going into the fight with Clamont immediately. He leads with Emolga, so I went for Simisear, using Yawn expecting the Volt Switch, but in case it didn't, I made sure to replace Return before going in with Protect, so that in case the AI was smart enough to use Volt Switch on the turn after Yawn, I could force it to go to sleep. Both turns though, it used Aerial Ace, so I just used Rock Tomb for over half, lowering its speed and KOing with a second, leading to Magneton. I went for Incinerate, but sadly, it got a crit with Thunderbolt, KOing my Simisear and putting me down a Pokemon. Well, good thing I just got Slugma, I guess. I went into Delphox, burning through his Hyper Potions as he kept surviving on Sturdy, eventually taking out with Mystical Fire and leaving just Heliolisk. 2 Psyshocks is plenty enough to take it down, winning me the fight, but I'm kinda sad that my only Pokemon that could put stuff to sleep is gone now. Simisear came in clutch despite being my least favorite Pokemon ever designed. Before heading onward though, I was dragged over into the Lysander Cafe, but I got a King's Rock in return, so I guess that's good. Moving on to Route 14, and holy moly can we stop at the constant rival battles. It's starting to get kind of ridiculous at how often these are coming up. She still has 3 Pokemon, so I still don't see the need of fighting her for a 3rd time with the same team. She leads with the same Meowstic, so I go for Delphox, finally having the resistance as she goes for Light Screen, so I go for one of my own as I use Mystical Fire twice, lowering her special attack twice before going for Psyshock, then using 2 more Mystical Fires to take it out, leading to Absol. I had a feeling that this would be next, so I swapped for Talonflame. Seeing a Swords Dance, so I went for Fly, missing the KO and taking an absolutely massive bite that puts Talonflame to 9 HP, but it burns Absol, having its attack and putting it essentially back to neutral. So I swap into Flareon, expecting the burn to KO it, but it doesn't, so I just go for Quick Attack to finish it off, leaving just Greninja. This thing only has Water Shuriken and Quick Attack, so I was pretty confident at this HP, surviving a 2-hit Water Shuriken to fire off a return for around half, but now I get to see who can survive 2. I swapped Delphox in on a Quick Attack, going for Mystical Fire next turn, but for some reason again he goes for Quick Attack, leaving me with just enough HP to survive a 3-hit Water Shuriken, KOing with Mystical Fire and winning me the battle. Well, I suppose these are starting to get closer and closer now that Absol has Swords Dance and Greninja is a fully evolved Pokemon, but jeez, give me a break! Fortunately, Route 14 is the only area I have to go through to get to Laver City, the home of the 6th gym leader. She uses Fairy-type Pokemon, so I'm already at a decent advantage thanks to my Fire types resisting those attacks. So I just took out the trainers on Route 14 and in the Laver City Gym, as well as a ton of wild Pokemon on Route 14, getting to the cusp of level 43 before taking on Valerie. She leads with Mawile, so of course it goes down with a single Flamethrower from Delphox, leading to her a Sylveon. I went for Light Screen as she went for Swift, going for Flamethrower next turn and Burning as she went for Charm, which does absolutely nothing to Delphox as a second Flamethrower plus the Burn KOs Sylveon and leaves just Mr. Mime. It tried setting up the light screen after the first flamethrower, but it did so much that the second KO'd it through the screen, winning me the fairy badge in extremely quick fashion. Well, that was a bit anticlimactic. Let's see if the multi-battle against Team Flare's Celosia and Brioni in the Pokeball Factory changes anything up. They lead with Liepard and Manectric, and the latter could be a problem for me since I led with Charizard, so I Mega Evolved, but I figured it should be fine to take out Liepard first. Sure enough, it was. Both went down extremely fast, and I won without even needing Charizard to be at full HP. I guess they didn't change anything after all, but now that I'm finished up with the Pokeball Factory, I'm able to head out onto Route 15. And while it doesn't have any new encounters, we are coming up on a new one. Right between the connection of Route 15 and Route 16 is the Lost Hotel, and there's Litwick here. However, this isn't the only encounter I can get here. Since it's a Tuesday while I'm playing, I decided to go after the best Pokemon to check my water type weakness, Heat Rotom. Yes, that's right, a fire electric type that can zap water types into next week. While Chandelure is a very alluring Pokemon and is very good, I think the electric typing is just going to be way too good for Seabold, and being this far into the run again, I don't want to lose it again, and I think that this will be my key to success, since on my third attempt I used Chandelure and lost to Seabold, so this is probably going to be the way that I take him out. I forgot to record the actual capture, but at least I didn't forget any important battles, and that is the most important thing I'm dealing with here. I also made sure to pick up 10 Calciums and 3 Carboses from the Pokemon Center in Laver City, so that I can have a decent head start on good EVs for Rotom, since we've got a relatively large stretch of trainers coming up. Dendemil Town has me sent off on a small side quest towards the Frost Cavern, where I need to rescue an Abomasnow from Team Flare. There's a few close calls with some of the trainers in here, but since these ice puzzles are pretty easily cheesed with diagonal movement, I'm able to get to the back, challenging Mabel to a quick fight, where I mop the floor with her Houndoom thanks to my Flareon with the Flash Fire ability, sending the team packing and letting me move on to Route 17. It's sort of like Route 9 where I have to ride a Pokemon to get through it, meaning there's not very many trainers, so the path to Anastar City is a pretty quick one. There's a very important TM I need to get here, and that's the TM for Flamethrower in the Pokemon Center. Between the hours of 11 AM and 5:59 PM, I can get this from the Hex Maniac, and while there are some other good TMs here, like Double Team and Substitute, I don't think I'll be needing those, especially since the first one just cheeses the rest of the run. Sadly though, there's yet another dang rival battle in front of the Anastar City gym, but at least she has a new Pokemon on her team. She leads with Meowstic, so I once again lead with Delphox against her, taking the Fake Out and going for Light Screen next turn. Unfortunately though, she has Shadow Ball now, meaning this strategy doesn't exactly work well anymore. I swapped for Pyroar, predicting a second one, being rewarded and getting off 2 crunches to KO through an extremely light Disarming Voice, leading to Greninja. I'm at full HP, so I figured I'd go for Strength, which paid off seeing as missing with Water Shuriken means I could just do the same next turn, tanking a 2-hit Water Shuriken with 2/3 HP remaining, barely not finishing off Greninja, but I just went for Flamethrower, going first and finishing it off, leaving her with Absol and Flareon. She goes for the former, so I go for Flamethrower once again, doing over half and burning at the same time as she sets up Swords Dance, effectively making her waste a turn to get her attack stat back to normal, making her have to go for Quick Attack or else she would just lose Absol and get no damage off whatsoever. This just leaves Flareon, and since my team is all fire types, Lava Plume isn't threatening at all. I'm able to just use 1 crunch and 1 strength before getting a little too close for comfort in terms of HP, so I just swapped for my own Flareon, taking hers out with Quick Attack to seal the deal. Not bad. This just leaves the Anastar City gym leader, so I went ahead and took out all of her gym trainers as well as any trainers I may have missed between the 6th and 7th gyms, and unfortunately, once again, since I'm bad at math and decided to take on a Sky Trainer, Charizard accidentally went up to level 49, meaning he's out of the running until I beat Olympia. That's fine, I just edged up the rest of my party to right before level 49, and actually now that I think about it, I completely forgot to mention the fact that Slugma's dead too. It accidentally got KO'd when I tried training it in place of Simisear after it went down after the 5th gym, so in case you were thinking that I should just add it to the team, that's why. Anyway, Olympia time. She leads with Sigilif, so I went for Delphox since she doesn't have any Shadow Ball or anything to screw over my strategy. I just went for Light Screen, then went for Mystical Fire once to lower its special attack, then swapped for Talonflame, using Swords Dance twice before using Roost and a third Swords Dance, as well as another Roost to stall out the time on her dual screens, KOing with Flame Charge since I want that extra speed just in case. Second out is Slowking, pretty good coverage against me, but Fly is able to one-shot, leading to the Reflect wearing off and leading just her Meowstic. She uses Fake Out, of course, but gets punished because of Flame Body, burning Meowstic as I go in for the KO with Fly, winning the battle and the 7th gym badge without any losses in the battle. Alright, I'm feeling pretty confident, but what lies ahead is a pretty difficult part of the game, so I'm going to have to be careful and expect to lose maybe 1 or 2 Pokemon. So, now that we're done with that, Lysander calls us up and decides to tell me that he's gonna attempt to
take over the world.
I don't know why, I guess he's bored. This means we've got a number of boss fights to take care of, so let's get them done in rapid fire style. Lysander's immediately at the beginning of his labs, and yeah, no, I'm not gonna fight him until I'm a high enough level for this. I immediately turned around before trying to fight him in order to grind up to level 52, since his Gyarados has both Aqua Tail and Earthquake, 2 things that can rip through my team if I'm not careful. The level cap is level 59 for this section, so I'm not too worried. I could stand to go up 1 more level, but I'd rather not cut it too close. Being at level 52 and having Drought with Mega Charizard Y should be good enough for this. He leads off with Mienfoo, and of course I lead with Charizard. I Mega Evolve and go for Flamethrower since I don't need super effective damage to take this out, KOing and leading to Gyarados. I went for Flamethrower instead of Fly here since my special attack is a bit better than physical, especially after Intimidate, and I'm lucky enough to where he misses with Aqua Tail. So I do it again, he lands the second Aqua Tail, doing a little under half as I KO with the third Flamethrower, leaving just Murkrow and Pyroar. He goes for the former, so I just blast it with Flamethrower, then leaving just Pyroar. I'm at about half health still, so I go for Fly, doing around a third of his HP, but he damages me to the point where I can't survive another attack. So I swap Flareon into a Hyper Voice, taking around 50 damage before taking a second, and landing a return for the victory. Alright, well, that's reassuring. The leveling did indeed pay off here. The Team Flare admins are all bosses in here, you know the ones, Aliana, Celosia, Brioni, and Mabel. But none of them have more than 2 Pokemon and are all very simple to take down, so they're nothing more than light fodder for our second boss battle, Xerosic. He also has 2 Pokemon, but since this is his first appearance, I figured I'd let him keep some of his dignity and show this fight. He leads with Crobat, so I immediately start off with Rotom, but he outspeeds and lands a light cross poison before I fire back with Thunderbolt, KOing and leading to Malamar. This thing's pretty powerful, and I don't think Rotom can stand up to it, but I attempt to go for Substitute first, but it breaks through with Payback. So I swap into Flareon, taking a Payback for less than a third of my HP, so I go for Return. Doing a little over half, but this now also doubles Payback's power. Thankfully, it still doesn't do enough to KO Flareon, leaving Flareon to KO the next turn with Return, winning the fight. A little too close for comfort for only 2 Pokemon, but now that this battle's over, I take the blue pill, which makes me go to Geosenge Town and into the Team Flare secret headquarters, where Lysander wants to fight me again to delay me from stopping the ultimate weapon. Okay, well, at least he's not too much harder here, though his Mienfoo and Murkrow have evolved, so at least that's a thing. Speaking of which, he leads with said Mienshao, so I start with Charizard yet again, Mega Evolving and going for Fly, KOing it in one shot next turn and leading into Gyarados once again. I'm level 54 now, so it should basically go the same way, so I go for Flamethrower, doing a wee bit under half as Aqua Tail gets a range that unfortunately does over half to Charizard. So I swap for Rotom since it can barely hang on from an Aqua Tail, but it doesn't matter as it misses, and I KO next turn with Thunderbolt, leading to Pyroar. I want to make sure to save Rotom for Honchkrow, so I swap out for Flareon, tanking a Hyper Voice and firing back a return after taking a second one. We do the same thing next turn, the third Hyper Voice hits, while Flareon survives on 30 HP before finishing it off with return, leaving just Honchkrow. This thing really doesn't scare me much, so I swap into Rotom, tanking a Night Slash for 39 damage before outspeeding next turn and landing Thunderbolt for the one shot and the win. Alright, 3 bosses down, 1 to go. Serena joins me down the hallway for a few multi-battles, which sometimes get a little too close for comfort, but once I got into the basement, it was pretty easy pickings from here. The nameless admins are jokes, and the encounter with the Veltal is pretty easily reduced down to a single Master Ball being thrown at it, so I could throw it into the PC immediately. This in turn makes Lysander very angry, so he becomes Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. So that makes me want to say pizza time, but instead it's battle time. Since I can't change my lead Pokemon, I made sure to put Talonflame up front before the Yveltal fight, and went in. He, for the third time, leads with Mienshao, so I go for Sword Stance, doing it twice as he uses High Jump Kick and Acrobatics. Then I in turn fire off 3 flies to KO Mienshao, Pyroar, and Honchkrow, leaving just Gyarados. He Mega Evolves, but I still outspeed, nailing Fly just shy for the KO, which means Talonflame's going down here to Aqua Tail. It could have missed, but this was pretty calculated. I can just go straight into Flareon and use Quick Attack to finish off Gyarados, winning me the fight. It's a shame that I wasn't able to keep Talonflame throughout the entire run, as I'm sure it would have been useful in the league, but for as good of a Pokemon as it is, I already have an amazing Fire Flying type in Mega Charizard Y, and my Sweeper has been able to shift over to Delphox, so I'm not super hurt over this. With the story event all done and over with, it's about time we go get that last badge. Luckily, it'll be a breeze since it's an Ice-type leader, and I'm ready to melt him into a Water-type leader by the end of it. One that I won't have to fight, because Lord knows if there was a Water-type leader in this game before I got Rotom, I would lose. So, I made my way through Route 18, making the same mistake I always do in X and Y by thinking, do I have to go into Terminus Cave to get to the bottom to progress? Without seeing the staircase, I almost lose my entire team to a worker with a few Gravelers and a Golem, and make it into Kuraway Town without, well, at least a panic attack. This was not fun, but what was actually fun was the battle against Professor Sycamore. He challenges me to a battle right here with the fully evolved Kanto starters, and he's not too hard, but not too easy either. He leads with Venusaur, so I go for Charizard, Mega Evolving and using Flamethrower to take it out quickly, leading to Blastoise. I just use Flamethrower for a little over half, and for some reason he decides to go for Skull Bash. So that just gives me free reign to KO with a second Flamethrower without taking any damage, leading to his own Charizard. Unfortunately, the mirror match here is not very fair, as 2 Flamethrowers of my own is plenty enough to do him in, and his Flamethrower is so pitiful that my Charizard doesn't even budge. Better luck next time, Sycamore. Maybe save the Megastones that you gave away to us children for yourself. Before leaving the town though, I can actually get the charcoal from the house south of the bridge here by answering a few questions about my initial starter choice correctly. And having an item that boosts the power of Fire-type moves in a Fire-type challenge is always appreciated. There's nothing much to say about Route 19 until I get to the bridge, and man, this place is a run killer if you're not careful. There are 3 back-to-back rival battles here against Shauna, Tierno, and Trevor, and they're all packing some pretty tough Pokemon, so let's see if I can get the job done without losing any of my own. Shauna leads with Delcatty, so I go for Delphox, setting up Calm Mind and using it 3 times, and taking a Feint Attack and 2 Charms for some reason, KOing with Psychic and leading to Goodra. This also goes down to Psychic, meaning that Chestnut's about to get roasted with Flamethrower, which it does eventually after using Spiky Shield for protecting itself for a turn. 1 down, 2 to go. Next up is Tierno, and he has an actual solid team now. He leads with Talonflame as I go for Delphox, and since I'm not able to change my lead Pokemon or heal between fights, I just went for Calm Mind to set up again, using 2 of them and taking 2 Acrobatics in the process. This brings Delphox down to 19 HP, so I gotta get out of here since Talonflame is faster. I swapped into Rotom, taking an Acrobatics for a minuscule amount of damage before firing off a Thunderbolt next turn, taking it out and leading to Crawdon. I was hoping he'd do that, as Thunderbolt's easily able to roast him through, KOing and leaving just his Roserade. I'm also just gonna say now, look at that beautiful moveset for Roserade. Boy howdy, that's a pretty diverse pool of moves there. Did you decide on that yourself? Yeah, I hope it burns in hell. Last battle here, and it's against Trevor. Unfortunately, he's an idiot and likes a fair fight, so he heals my Pokemon before the battle. He leads with Raichu, and this is perfect fodder for me to set up Calm Mind again. I do so with 2 of them before firing off Psychic. Eventually, I did end up getting paralyzed from Nuzzle, but now that Aerodactyl's out, I need to swap since there's no way Delphox is being able to do anything else in this fight. Ancient Power is pretty difficult to deal with, but aside from that, it's not too bad. So I went into Flareon, going for Lava Plume for about 1/4 of his HP before getting confused with Supersonic, taking a Sky Drop next turn as I go for Lava Plume once more. I'm still confused and at pretty low health, so I swapped for Pyroar, which of course gets hit with Sky Drop for a minuscule amount of damage. But next turn, I'm able to get off a Flamethrower, but it's not able to KO, letting him confuse me once again with Supersonic. Nice accuracy there, buddy. Ancient Power does a ton of damage next turn, forcing me to swap for Rotom since it's the last thing on my team not 4 times weak to Rock, and sure enough, it takes an Ancient Power extremely well, dodging a Supersonic next turn to finish it off with Thunderbolt, leaving just Florges. The thing can't really do anything to Rotom, so I just stayed in, firing off Substitute on the turn I expected Misty Terrain, then just started using Thunderbolt, eventually KOing with 4 of them, winning me the fight. The Substitute actually did end up helping me there since it held up through 2 attacks rather than 1, and was really helpful in making sure I had enough HP to stay alive through the rest of the Moonblasts. I'm given HM05 Waterfall in return for beating all 3 of them, which means we've got to go to get that gym badge that lets me use it outside of battle. Wulfric's gym is easy enough to take care of thanks to all of the ice types, and after edging all of my Pokemon just shy of level 60, it's time to take him down. Actually, I guess there is something I should mention before this fight. I realized that Heat Rotom has been unable to learn Overheat, and that's because of the fact that it has to do the form change in order to learn it. I honestly thought that this was locked behind post-game, since if I hadn't known it wasn't, I would have not spent 3 hours in the Lost Hotel attempting to soft reset for one, and just grabbed the regular one. So I changed its form and then went back into the microwave so that it could finally have Overheat. It's unfortunate that the only Fire-type attack that Rotom can get is actively detrimental to the rest of Rotom's game plan, but hey, it's good in a pinch, I suppose. Anyway, it's Wulfric time, and he leads with a Abomasnow, and I lead with Charizard, which means I'm not even gonna let you guys have any suspense here. I Mega Evolved and KO'd Abomasnow, Cryogonal, and Avalugg all with Flamethrower, winning me the match in quick fashion. This isn't the fight you want the league battles, so let's get there quicker. But first, we've got one more rival battle to take care of against Serena, and this time, she is not holding anything back. Too bad I'm not either. In fact, I went so far as to go back to Route 12 to grab the leftovers before this fight, because I've got a nasty plan for her. I've also replaced Light Screen with Protect on Delphox, and I'm sure you're starting to see where this is going. She leads with Meowstic, so of course it goes for Fake Out. Leftovers heals all that damage as I set up Calm Mind after Calm Mind, getting 5 of them up before going for Flamethrower, one-shotting and leading to Greninja. It attacks with Dark Pulse, a terrible choice since my +5 special defense is defending against it, barely doing anything as I KO with Flamethrower leading to Absol. Delphox outspeeds, nails Flamethrower, KOs, leads to Flareon, so I go for Protect here instead to get some more HP back before firing off Psychic for the KO, leaving just Altaria to also go down to Psychic. Yeah, I wasn't kidding about that fight being nasty. The fact that Meowstic has nothing in terms of physical moves outside of Fake Out made that completely detrimental to her team. Too bad even the late game trainers don't have good enough AI to switch when they see massive setups happening in front of their face. After that, all that's left is a few trainers and the Pokemon League. Now, I do need to talk about some preparations I made. First of all, I made sure to go back to Route 18, as Torkoal is available there as my last remaining encounter. This gives me a full team of 6 to work with for the League, and having a tank is definitely going to be useful if things start getting dicey. Secondly, after grinding, I made sure to get 6 reset bags from Super Training, using them on all of my Pokemon, then EV training them from the ground up, since there's no way I'm losing this run again at this point. I also updated their movesets, and here is what they're looking like now. I've got Delphox with the leftovers with the same moveset as before, Protect, Calm Mind, Psychic, and Flamethrower. The stall tactics with Protect and leftovers as well as the setup potential is just too good to change, and I expect this to be my main strategy on everyone except Seabold. Secondly, my Seabolt Insurance, Rotom with the Zap Plate, which I did end up giving it after I recorded the footage for this team recap, don't worry. It's on Substitute, Thunderwave, Discharge, and Overheat. I went Discharge over Thunderbolt for the increased chance of paralysis, and after doing damage calculations on Seabolt's Pokemon, it does do enough damage to KO all 4 of them, so there's no reason to have Thunderbolt, though I'd still have the TM for it if necessary. Third up is the tank, Torkoal with Amnesia, Fire Blast, Lava Plume, and Iron Defense. I expect this to come up against someone like Wickstrom or Malva, just wall up as the attacks do next to nothing and just continue to use Lava Plume or Fire Blast, but this is in case Delphox doesn't end up working out. Essentially, that's what the rest of this team is for, in case Delphox accidentally goes down. Pyroar's on Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Round, and Attract. Unfortunately, Attract isn't really helpful when 3 out of the 5 members of the league are using a ton of female Pokemon, with the exception of Diantha, since it's using both of the fossil Pokemon and their males. And the rest are just good special moves of different types. Fifth is Charizard, holding the Charizardite Y, with Flamethrower, Air Slash, Solar Beam, and Roost. Figured I'd delete Fly off of it with the move deleter and use the dead carcass of Talonflame to go back to the Pokemon League just for the ideal moveset. Solar Beam is also broken against Seabolt if something goes wrong with Rotom, but I did try this strategy before and it fell before Starmie and screwed up my entire team on my 3rd attempt of this run, so I'm hoping I don't have to resort to this. And finally, Flareon with the Charcoal with Return, Flare Blitz, Quick Attack, and Fire Fang. It's a physical attacker, sadly it doesn't get enough good physical fire moves, but this will do the job. Leave a comment down below if you think I can finish this run off. Let's go for it. Malva starts with Pyroar, so I go for Delphox, going for Calm Mind strats, but Pyroar has Noble Roar, which lowers the attack and special attack of Delphox. It stays on this, but eventually shifts into Wild Charge for enough turns to where Calm Mind finally managed to stick, eventually getting me +3 special attack before going for Psychic, KOing, and leading to Torkoal. It's a tank, but Psychic is still able to KO through that, leaving just Chandelure and Talonflame. She goes for the former, but that Ghost type won't be helping her here as it goes down to a single Psychic, as does Talonflame. But it does manage to outspeed and nail a critical Brave Bird. Fortunately, I made sure that calculation was taken into account, with Delphox surviving and cleaning up the battle from there. 1 down, 4 to go. Seabolt is second on my list and starts with Clawitzer, so I go for Rotom, and since I did the calcs for these, I know Rotom outspeeds and KOs all 4 of his Pokemon with 1 discharge each, taking out Clawitzer, Gyarados, Barbaracle, and Starmie. That was quick, and I'm sure Wickstrom will go the same way because he's a Steel-type user. He leads with Klefki, which is annoying because it has Torment, but thankfully I have enough uses of Protect to shift between that and Calm Mind, setting up 5 of them and taking it out with Flamethrower, leading to Probopass. Now, normally this would be a problem, but every one of Probopass's moves are special, so I went for Psychic, taking it into the red as he heals with a full restore, then getting off Flamethrower next turn, getting the burn to take it down through Sturdy and lead into Scizor. But since I'm still under Torment, I went for Protect, then back into Flamethrower to KO, leaving just Aegislash. Now, I'm also predicting a King's Shield here, so I go for Protect since I'm also still under Torment, KOing next turn with Flamethrower despite it still being in the shield form. Alright, that was a great quick fight, now let's see if I can pull it off with Drasna. If I'm going into the champion with 6 Pokemon, I'm not afraid to start sacking if things go awry, so we're getting extremely close here, I just need to make sure to get through Drasna first. She leads with Dragalge, which unfortunately for her has all special moves, and since it sees the super effective Surf, I can keep it off of trying to poison or paralyze Delphox with Sludge Bomb or Thunderbolt respectively, letting me set up 5 Calm Minds before KOing Dragalge with Psychic, Altaria with Psychic, Noivern with Psychic, and Druddigan also with Psychic. Yeah, I'm starting to think I'm probably safe from here on out. Last up is the champion. Let's see if I can finish off the run with a full team as an added challenge. Diantha leads with Hawlucha, which is a bit fearful, to me at least, as it has Swords Dance, but for some reason it immediately jumps into using X-Scissor. So I just set up 2 Calm Minds before it starts going for Poison Jab. This is a bit worrying, so I only use 2 more, using Protect to get a bit more HP back and one-shot with Flamethrower next turn. Second on the docket is Tyrantrum, and thankfully I can evade its quad resistance to fire with Psychic, one-shotting and leading to Gourgeist. It's a one-shot with Flamethrower, shocking am I right? Half her team left and she chooses Goodra 4th, going down to Psychic with Aurora's coming out 5th and going down to Flamethrower. Last out is Gardevoir, and despite her Mega Evolution, Flamethrower is able to KO her without an attack, even connecting, winning me the fight and the run. Now, I would say that this run is over, but technically we still have the AZ fight before the credits rolls, which is supposed to be an easy fight after the champion, but hilariously enough, I lost Delphox to him on accident due to me being an idiot and clicking Protect when he went for the first turn of Phantom Force. Kinda sad to see this MVP of the run fall to such a dumb mistake, but I'm able to clean up the rest of the fight with Mega Charizard. Now it's over. Finally, this run that's been 1 month in the making is over, and I couldn't be happier. It was definitely hard. Grant gave me way more grief than it should have, and my errant mistake in the third run against Seabold with Charizard, and basically my entire team falling afterwards, wasn't exactly good either, since I didn't reset my EVs or do calculations for it, since I'm generally someone who doesn't really want to have to do that. But hey, I guess this run taught me to make sure to do my calculations before losing a run to the Elite Four. With that, make sure to comment down below if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, tell a friend, and don't spend more than a minute doing that, since if you are, you're taking too long. I want to give a huge shout out to my $10 and above patrons: Justin Dimmenstein, Aiden Brannon, Andy Garbery, Kyle Campbell, Landon, Michael Evans, Phoenix Fire, and Richard Jackson. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you'd like to support as well, you can head over to my Patreon page, link in the description, where you can get access to stuff like videos early, an exclusive role in my Discord server, link also in the description, challenge requests, and much more. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to watch this, and I'll see you guys next time with another challenge. Stay safe, stay healthy, I'll see you next time.